Alright, g'day Daiwa fans, Tom Slater here for Daiwa Australia and coming to you from the new Daiwa studio. So a little bit different this year. Normally we come to you live from the Yokohama Fishing Show, but it's getting a little bit crazy on the stand these days, so hard to film the videos and go into as much detail as we want to. So we thought we'd film this pre-release here in the studio. Obviously a super exciting release for us in 25 Saltiga. Only happens very rarely, and really with Saltiga it's an opportunity for us and our engineers to really think outside the box and deliver some really cool and interesting new technologies and debut them in our flagship spinning reel like 25 Saltiga. So this year 25 Saltiga is the debut of what we're calling POWERDRIVE design. So you've heard us talking about air drive design over the last couple of years since the 22 exist. POWERDRIVE design is the same, I guess, thinking in terms of a design philosophy, but applied to a saltwater heavy-duty spin reel. So air drive design is still a big part of Daiwa spinning reels, but focusing on the lighter, smaller size spinning reels dedicated to that finesse and the high operability. POWERDRIVE design is all about toughness, durability, strength, and POWERDRIVE design is in 25 Saltiga. So there's two parts to POWERDRIVE design. There's POWERDRIVE engine, which we're talking about the body and specifically the gearing and the oscillation support inside the body, and then POWERDRIVE rotor, which is the top half of the reel, talking about specifically the rotor design, the bail arm crank power bail, and the tough line roller system. So POWERDRIVE engine, we'll start there. So immediately you see that huge MQ side plate. That's the size of the drive gear that you get installed. So oversized power tough digigear, much bigger than the previous version. So bigger than the 20 Saltiga, thicker than the 20 Saltiga. Obviously anytime we can put a bigger gear inside the gearbox, you're going to get more winding power, more strength, more gear durability, more longevity. And that's only achievable with MQ monocoque body technology. So if this wasn't an MQ body, the body size of this reel would be substantially bigger because we have to leave enough meat in the body essentially for all those screws for a side plate to attach to the reel. But with MQ, the engine plate screws directly into the body. It's a one-piece unit, it's very rigid, it's very stiff, and it maximizes the internal space. So we can still have what is essentially quite a compact body fitting in an absolutely enormous drive gear. The other part of POWERDRIVE engine is the new oscillation support. So previously 20 Saltiga ran a pillar type support structure. So the oscillation happened and was supported by a pillar on the bottom end of this of the body here that supported the structure moving up and down and kept it in line. Obviously you've got a pillar and a sleeve essentially going over that pillar that has some level of friction there. So we've gone to a 2-ball bearing roller system that totally eliminates that friction. And our goal with that was to minimize the startup inertia, make this reel incredibly easy to wind because it is a big, heavy metal rotor. It is a really powerful reel, but we still wanted that high operability like we've been talking about in air drive design. So that new oscillation support system reduces the friction and allows us to make it really easy for the reel to push the spool up and down. Because there's a couple of ways we can do it. We can obviously make the spool very light and make that easy to push up and down, or we could make this whole oscillation system more efficient. So that's what we've chosen to do. We've made that oscillation system more efficient to make that reel really easy to turn the handle. So POWERDRIVE engine has those key features, obviously MQ, the new gear, the new oscillation system. Then we move to POWERDRIVE rotor. So POWERDRIVE rotor, you'll see a very similar shape to our air drive rotors. In Saltiga, that is made from an aluminium, so it's a very stiff rotor, 7% stiffer than the previous design, which is also aluminium. But we've just, I guess, worked on the shaping of that rotor to minimize the line tangle troubles like we've spoken about with air drive, but also to increase that stiffness to give you a really powerful rotor, because there's no point giving you all this power in the gearbox, giving you all this power in the drag, if you can't actually put that through the rotor. So stiffer, new rotor, and again, focusing on trying to make that as easy to turn as possible. Moving on to what's attached to the rotor, new crank power bail. So you'll see the bail arm shape has adjusted, more similar to what you see in 23 Saltiga. So we took those learnings and applied it to the larger sizes. The new crank power bail is really focused on delivering the line efficiently to the line roller. So this new taper, especially when you're jigging or live bait fishing and you've got line coming off the reel under tension, if you've ever had in the past in other spinning reels, if you try and flick the bail arm over and it almost pulls the bail arm back open and it's like slipping, what we've done is eliminated that problem from occurring with this new design. So the return feature into the line roller is very, very efficient. Very minimal chance of ever having that line slip off like in previous designs. And then talking about the line roller specifically, we've gone to a new what we call tough line roller system. So previously we had basically what was a female threaded part and a screw that screwed that in, and that female threaded part was part of the actual bail arm itself. This time it's, think of it like a clamp system. So we've got a female clamp part that's floating through this part of the bail arm and a screw located on the other side, and that clamps the whole line roller assembly together, held from obviously the bail arm side and the wire side, to hold that roller system in place. So very rigid and strong, durable structure. Then we've also tweaked the line roller design itself to be, again, less friction. So we're applying less friction to the line rolling across it. So we've minimised friction by 2%. And again, that's talking about making it easier to turn the handle, because if we can minimise the friction of that line doing the right degree, 90-degree turn onto the spool, we can make it easier to retrieve that lure. So especially when you're talking about winding in a big stick bait or a big popper to go for another cast, if you can make that easier, you'll fatigue less during the day, you're going to make more casts, you're going to catch more fish. Those are the key, I guess, core technologies of what POWERDRIVE design is. There is some other basic, what we call Daiwa's basic technology, which is things like monocoque body, mag seal, and things like our new ABS LC SW type spool design. So it's hidden here under the spool full of Saltiga 12 braid, but we've adjusted the taper design of the spool itself to improve casting distance, especially with heavier braided lines like PE8 to PE10. Really worked to emphasise the casting distance for those heavier lines by adjusting that taper. So as the line level comes down, there's a secondary taper to the spool lip that helps reduce the size of the loops coming off your spool, which is ultimately going to lead to improved casting distance. It's not part of the 14,000, but it is an optional part, which is the new drag system, DRD. Probably one of the most fascinating parts of 25 Saltiga is DRD. It's standard on 18, 20 and 25,000, which is a new size for 25 Saltiga, the bigger 25,000. But DRD is a complete overhaul of spinning reel drag technology. So we're doing away with carbon washers in those larger sizes. So the 8s to 14s, like I'm holding here, have the standard ATD tough carbon drag washers that you're familiar with from 20 Saltiga. But in the 18s, the 20s and the 25s, we employ DRD washers. So we're eliminating the carbon washer completely, replacing those with a metal washer with rollers embedded into that metal plate, and we've got a full metal drag stack. So those washers are obviously greased and lubricated, but those rollers provide the ability for that drag to turn still and not be jerky or inconsistent, but it gives 5 times more durability than carbon washers. So DRD is, from my end, probably the most exciting part of 25 Saltiga, because it's the biggest step away from traditional spinning reel design. Really developed for really hard fighting, long lasting fights like bluefin tuna, marlin fishing, those fish that are going to take lots of line and fight a really long time. You want that durability of the drag to not heat up, to not melt the washers, and that's what DRD is all about. So it's a really cool technology. There's some really great kind of exploded views of what DRD is on the website, so highly implore you to go and look at those, because I think it is really, really exciting. But 25 Saltiga as a general is, I think it's the best saltwater spinning reel that Dial was ever created. It's the strongest spinning reel we've ever created in many aspects. It's got the biggest size drive gear, it's got the strongest rotor, it's got all of the best technologies that we've thought of and our engineers have learnt, and that you guys have helped us by using all our products around the world and identified all the areas we can improve, and we've really focused on that with 25 Saltiga. So it's obviously launched a little while ago. Its public unveil is today during the Yokohama Fishing Show. Obviously all the details are on the Dial website. They are going to be in stores over the next couple of months. I implore you to go to those stores and check out a 25 Saltiga in person, because they are a super impressive piece of kit, and I think you'll really enjoy them. So brand new 25 Saltiga. It's time to break your record, pick up one of these for yourself and see what you think. So thanks very much.